We do have a presentation from the Aurora Police Department today, a technology update. So at this time, we will let APD take it away.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. Just like to thank everybody for this opportunity to come before you to give you an update on how we are utilizing technology to help keep the city safe. As most of you know, over the past 2 years, we focused on modernizing technology and equipment to assist us in becoming more efficient and effective and improving the quality of life for our community. We feel we've been successful in our efforts, and we wanted to share some of those successes with you.
Good evening. We broke down our areas of success.
Do me a favor, brother.
Yep.
Yeah, move the mic.
How's it? Better?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so we broke down our areas of success into 3 general categories: building a stronger connection to the community, improving our real-time situational awareness, and enhancing our investigative techniques. We'll explain to you how each piece of technology we purchased has contributed to one of these 3 areas. If you have questions, I would just ask that you hold those to the end of the presentation. The first area of focus will be our use of technology to build a stronger connection to the community. So in the fall of 2022, we were one of the first police departments in the United States to purchase a post-contact survey tool called Axon My90. In the years prior to 2022, our profession was under severe scrutiny from communities across the U.S. And although we were confident our agency was respected and appreciated among the majority of the Aurora community, we felt like this technology could offer immediate feedback about our officers' interactions and would give the community a confidential way to tell us what some of their concerns were in their neighborhoods. See how to play this video here.
My90 got its name when a sergeant told us, I've got to make hard decisions and I'm only getting 10% of the story. The person I'm talking to is too anxious, stressed, or busy to say what they really think. We lose 90% when we talk to the community. My90's mission is to get that other 90% of the story, to build partnerships in the community by giving every neighbor and every officer a voice. We have the highest response rates in the field because it's automated, convenient, and confidential. Chiefs around the country are using the My90 engagement platform.
So as the video mentions, this technology immediately sends out a customer survey after our officers respond to a call for service. The caller can provide actionable and purposeful feedback on the quality of service they receive. They answer questions about whether the officer was able to resolve their concerns, if the officer explained the circumstances to them, and if the officer treated them fairly and with respect. I don't know if any of you have received one of those surveys, but if you've called, you have? Okay, yeah. Did you fill it out? No, okay. So since the deployment of the survey technology, our agency has received a cumulative average of 88% approval rating across all categories surveyed. This is one of the highest approval ratings among all of Axon's customers. I believe this speaks to our officers' professionalism and commitment to serving the community.
Since the implementation, we consistently review the results of the survey, and we focused on resources on some of the top concerns, which are traffic safety and seeing more officers in the neighborhood. As a result, our officers have increased traffic enforcement as well as community engagement efforts. We also use this technology to conduct surveys with the members of our department to find out how we are doing as leaders and what they would like to see in their department. As mentioned earlier, this is relatively new technology. We're one of the first agencies to purchase this survey tool. We were also recently selected to be one of 3 departments nationwide to be a development partner with Axon My90 team. We're working together to provide the public with the means to view some of the results from the survey.
My90 got its name when a
So the second piece of technology that our agency has used to build a stronger connection with the Aurora community is the Aurora Police Department Transparency Hub. Maybe some of you have visited it. But that can be found by going to the City of Aurora's Open Data Portal homepage and then selecting the Police Department option. This technology provides greater transparency for the public on our operations, our performance, and personnel. Some of the features that can be found within the portal are general crime statistics in Aurora to provide a better understanding of how crime in our community compares to other communities across the U.S., information about the makeup of our organization, our recruitment efforts, and employment opportunities. There's actually a pathway for you to view a job posting and begin the application process for both sworn and non-sworn positions like CDTs or dispatchers. There's also the ability to locate the community police officer that's assigned to your neighborhood. And there's some information about our Office of Professional Standards. You'll see there, that's a selection as well, and the process that is put into place to review compliments or investigate complaints.
It also gives you the ability to review calls for service and general police activity in your neighborhood. There's a slight delay in the posting of these calls for operational security reasons, but the calls do appear as a general classification, such as community caretaking call, a traffic stop, a medical call for service, just to name a few. We believe the transparency portal is not only informative, but it also strengthens our connection with the community by providing a closer look at our staff and our operational efforts. This portal will also be the future home of the Axon My90 public report.
The third piece of technology is the Axon community request. This solution not only builds a stronger connection with our community, but it's also greatly improved our efficiency. This is a cloud-based evidence technology that allows our agency to share a link with the community members for evidence submission from their cell phones and other electronic devices. So while our officers are on scene, community members will either receive an SMS or an email invitation with a link where they are able to immediately upload their media to the Axon evidence platform. Our digital evidence custodians are able to manage each digital evidence submission, which includes searching, sharing, and duplicating digital evidence, all while creating an audit trail. As a result of this technology, our community is now more involved in the reporting process, and they can have confidence knowing their digital evidence was immediately shared with the police. As of November 1st, 2023, we have sent out over 12,000 invites to those community members who wish to share pieces of evidence with us. So we're taking in more evidence than we ever have. Whether the type of text or the evidence is either text messages, when someone's being harassed. Sometimes people will share video evidence of a crime. Other times people will share still images that have a potential investigative lead, but all of these invites have proved to be more effective than the hand-to-hand disk or flash drive that took place before.
So prior to this purchase of this technology, our officers would spend countless hours transferring evidence onto a disk, making copies of the disk for the state's attorney's office or FOIA requests, and entering the disks into evidence for storage. We use this technology to become more efficient in evidence collection process, allowing our officers to spend less time in the station and more time on the streets and in their neighborhoods. We also decreased the amount of money we were spending on disks and flash drives to archive the digital evidence. In 2021, we took in approximately 10,000 disks. This year, when we were fully operational, we've only taken in roughly 1,200 disks, which is a savings of 8,800 disks. And assuming it takes 1 hour of time, entering, duplicating, and storing a piece of digital evidence, we have a rough savings of 8,800 hours of labor since we transitioned to a modern digital evidence system.
So the second area we've recognized improvements is with our real-time situational awareness. We've increased the number of fixed situational awareness cameras throughout the city, which gives us a greater visibility as we receive calls for service. We've also improved our ability to access cameras in local shopping malls, and some of the schools and other businesses located in our community. So as we receive a call for service, our critical incident intelligence center investigators are able to connect to these camera systems, some of these camera systems, and view the live footage in our kick center. They're able to view multiple cameras, as you can see on the video wall, while they monitor incoming radio traffic and review updates provided by our dispatchers. Our investigators will use this technology to assess the level of threat and identify potential suspects or flight paths, and direct responding officers as they respond to the scenes during these dynamic incidents. They're able to provide real-time updates to our responding officers, which has resulted in the safe recovery of people in mental health crisis threatening self-harm and the apprehension of burglary suspects who have fled the scene. We also utilize the Axon Respond software included in our body-worn and fleet camera system to further improve our real-time situational awareness.
Axon Respond for devices is a real-time situational awareness technology that gives everyone the complete picture. Respond connects the data and video from Axon body cameras, drones, and in-car video systems to keep officers safe and command staff informed at all times. The result? True real-time situational awareness with the right information at the critical moment. And that means faster response times, greater officer and public safety, and a more efficient use of resources.
As the video indicates, we use this live streaming technology to assist with officer safety and resource deployment. Our supervisors and our kick investigators will use this technology if an officer is not answering their radio after responding to a disturbance or another volatile call for service. They'll connect to the officer's camera feed and provide updates if possible as to whether the officer's in distress or if they're just in an environment where it's loud and they're unable to hear the radio. Our supervisors recently used the Respond software on our fleet camera system to view the squad camera feed from an event. They used the feed to assess crowd volatility and determine if there was a need for outside resources. Toward the end of this presentation, we will inform you of some additional technology we recently purchased called Fusus, which is a unified real-time intelligence system that will enhance our ability to use Respond software.
So we also have several drones that we utilize to not only provide better situational awareness at events, but to also improve our efficiency when we're investigating a serious or fatal traffic crash. So we have a drone team that consists of numerous officers who belong to several different divisions within the police department. The team is managed by 2 supervisors. We have a large membership for better coverage for call-outs and deployments. Every member of the team is an FAA certified drone pilot, and they attend a drone training session every month. So we use the drones during large events to monitor traffic flow and assess crowd size. We also use it to direct public safety resources to medical calls for service or help locate missing and endangered persons. We also use it to search for suspects who recently fled the scene of a serious crime. The state legislature recently passed legislation that governs the use of the drones by law enforcement, and 2 of our officers helped drafting that legislation.
We also use the drones to efficiently and more effectively investigate serious injury and fatal traffic crashes. The drone reconstruction software collects many more data points in a significantly reduced amount of time, so the investigators are able to collect all the data they need and clear the roadway in a much faster than they used to in the past. What that means to the community is that there are shorter delays in road closures. We were able to cut off about 2 to 3 hours of our traffic investigations by using this drone reconstruction technology.
Another piece of technology our department uses to improve our real-time situational awareness is a gunshot detection software that's called Sound Thinking. We use Sound Thinking technology as a force multiplier for the reporting and the response to shots fired calls. So now, in addition to the community calling 911 when they hear gunshots in their neighborhoods, we also use this gunshot detection software to give us a more precise location. Additionally, the alerts go straight to the officer's electronic devices rather than going through our dispatch center, so they become aware of the gunshots much faster than they did before, resulting in a much more rapid response to the scene. So what the rapid response will do is increase our chances of apprehending an offender or locating evidence left behind from the shooting.
Nearly 50% of the verified shootings would have gone unreported if we did not have the sound thinking technology, meaning 50% of the verified shootings were only reported through the use of the gunshot detection alert. No one ever called 911 to report the gunshots. This technology truly has been a force multiplier for our resources by not only assisting us in the detection of unreported crimes, but also in locating firearms and evidence in a shooting.
So the third and final area we've recognized success is through our ability to develop investigative leads. So as I mentioned before, our KIC investigators will access our Axon feeds and the public or private camera feeds that have been shared with us when there's a call for service. But also, many of our detectives will then review that recorded footage and enhance the images to provide investigative leads that may have otherwise gone undiscovered. These leads have resulted in the arrest of murder suspects as well as robbery suspects, to name a few. We also share these images with local and regional partners to further assist in developing leads and identifying suspects. We use a ballistic information network as well to assist in developing leads when we are investigating shootings.
Every cartridge fired from a gun leaves a fingerprint of sorts, and the lab can make 3D scans of those cartridges that are collected at crime scenes. Those images can then be compared to millions of other images in the federal database to find possible links to other gun crimes across the country.
So the Aurora Police Department is home to one of only a few national integrated ballistic information networks in Illinois. The immediate access we have to the NIBIN database has greatly improved our ability to link firearms and recovered firearm evidence. When our agency first partnered with the ATF, we had only a dozen participating agencies bringing their firearm evidence to APD for comparison, and now we have nearly 60 agencies in the Chicagoland area bringing their evidence to our collection site. So the more agencies contributing to the NIBIN system, the more effective and efficient our investigative database becomes.
So we've seen immediate success with linking recovered casings to firearms used in the commission of a homicide, which aided in successful prosecution. So far this year, our agency has generated leads in over 30% of the firearm evidence submissions. This is also consistent with the regional success rate. Our ability to receive, image, and compare ballistic information has also reduced the number of submissions to the Illinois State Crime Lab. We're not sending nearly the amount of recovered firearm evidence to the lab as we used to, which is a huge time saver.
So the final piece of technology presented here today that has increased our investigative techniques and also complemented our intelligence-led policing strategy is our data analytics ecosystem. So our analysts and investigators use programming languages, applications, and other technology to collect, analyze, and provide investigative data that complements our policing strategy. We use link analysis charts to illustrate suspect relationships and determine commonalities in criminal activity. We are also able to identify hotspots for more precise policing efforts and concentrated resource deployments. Our analytics allow us to take a more proactive approach and take some preventative measures rather than simply reacting to crime in certain areas. A recent success story was when we saw an increase in catalytic converter thefts. We identified potential targets, deployed resources to saturate those areas, and eventually apprehended the suspects. So hopefully you've seen a theme that much of this technology is extremely innovative and easily integrates with existing software to maximize our operational effectiveness. But we haven't stopped here. We have several other programs and technology that's just right around the corner. We'll soon go live with an online reporting system from LexisNexis. This will make it much more convenient for community members to fill out a simple offense or theft report or accident report. It'll no longer be necessary for people to come stand in line at the front desk or wait for an officer to clear a higher priority call for service to respond to their residents to take a report.
As previously mentioned, the Axon My 90 survey will soon be summarized into a report which will be made available for the viewing on the APD Transparency Portal. Community members will be able to see how the department is performing and what their fellow community members feel are public safety concerns. We're also going to be releasing an internal dashboard to our members of our department. As we mentioned, we not only utilize the survey tool for external feedback, but we also survey our department members to get internal feedback on areas where we can improve within the department. So the feedback is completely anonymous and has been extremely helpful in identifying areas that we can improve training and operational efficiency.
We are also nearly fully upgraded our body-worn camera system to the newest AB4 technology. Some of the features with the newer body camera system is we have radio redundancy capability with a two-way communication feature to the officers. We have a longer battery lifespan for the guys that are working a lot of overtime. And then there's a wider field of vision as well.
So the Fusus technology was recently purchased, and we're working with our IT department to get that technology fully operational. This will be a single viewing picture that will incorporate all of the video streams and Axon products into one unified intelligence system. This technology will also make it easier for local businesses to share their videos with our Kick Center, which will greatly enhance our situational awareness. Will also be viewable in our dispatch center and on our officers' electronic devices.
And finally, we just recently modernized our 911 dispatch center and are just putting the finishing touches on this center. We added larger consoles and a video wall that provides a link to our Kick Center to provide some redundancy for viewing cameras. We also have integration with the Sound Thinking program to provide an automated dispatch ticket, which will help save the dispatcher some time. And we also now have fire station alerting at all 12 consoles rather than 6. And now they have status lights at each station, which provides in-room awareness for call takers and supervisors. So that's the end. Again, all this technology would not be produce any results if not for the officers' efforts and the commitment of our APD staff and officers. The technology is only really as good as the people who are using it.
So there are many people to thank for the successful implementation of the technology presented today. We want to thank the APD staff who proposed some of these technologies for our consideration. Many of our newer officers tell us the reason that they chose APD was because of the modernization and supporting technology. Thank you to everyone who helped with researching, training, and the implementation of much of this technology. We also want to thank our IT department for their assistance in managing these projects. Thank you for your allocation of resources to implement the technology and provide continued support for our department. I want to thank the mayor and the mayor's office for your support in our efforts to modernize our technology and equipment. And we want to thank the city council for their support in providing the approval necessary to acquire these resources. We're always mindful of spending taxpayers' money responsibly. And finally, we want to thank the community for their continued support and feedback. We hope you are as proud of your officers and department as we are. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Before you guys go in, we'll take any questions that any alderman may have for you. You define full force multiplier just so everybody is on the same page and understands what that means. You use that term twice, that this technology is a force multiplier.
So we believe that by using technology, you know, we're a department of 318 right now, but we're a large city, and you know, we've come before the council to ask for more officers every year because we realize that a city our size should have more officers. But in the absence of those officers, we've tried to utilize and leverage technology to do what we need done in the absence of getting those additional officers. So that's what we mean by acting as a force multiplier.
So you do more crime fighting with less police and less support from the police department. Even though the 318 you got do a great job, they use technology to multiply who they are and what they have to offer to our community, right?
Correct. But we still want more officers. Let me be clear.
Appreciate that. Any questions from the Alderman? No? Well, thank you very much. Alderman Lesh?
Sure, just a few.
No, let me stop you. Alderman Lesh, you've made it clear on many occasions that you don't like the Aurora Police Department. As a matter of fact, you can call them corrupt, which I think, is a very misguided way of thinking about our police department. So I'd like you to keep these questions relevant to the actual presentation that we have here, and not go off on any, I hate the police tangents that you tend to go off on. All right? Thank you.
I'll put words in my own mouth. Thank you. When it comes to the My90 surveys, you said that everybody receives one. I was involved in a minor traffic incident, got one shortly after. Does it go to everybody that you interact with? So hypothetical, if it's June 8th or July 15th and my neighbor's shooting off fireworks and I call the police, do I get a My90, or does the person that you interact with, or do both?
Whoever called the police.
So whoever calls the police, it's not with everyone that you interact.
The My90 will go to whatever, because it's sent by SMS or email, so they have to have somewhere to send it. Our officers don't give them that link, so it comes via a response from our dispatchers. It's automated.
And just to clear up one other thing too, it's not going to be sent to everyone involved in an incident, because there are some incidents where we wouldn't send one at all because it's really not appropriate to be asking for, feedback in some of these sensitive incidents that we have to go to.
Sure. And then what if somebody just gets pulled over? They didn't contact the police, but they just got pulled over. Do they get a My90 survey? No.
No, it won't.
Do me a favor, speak in the microphone.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that, much like yourself who didn't fill out the survey, we're only getting about 7%. But
Oh, really?
But My90's telling that that's really high. It's much less than that with the other departments that actually have it. So I don't know how many people fill out surveys when they get them, but they're telling us that 7% that we're hovering right around is a pretty high number for all of their customers. So they actually have applauded us for our community's response and use of it.
Okay. I was just clarifying who gets the survey. It's basically whoever contacts.
That's
And I got it because I called, and I didn't fill it out because I was coming here, actually. But the police did a very professional job filling out the accident
That's good to
reports and
hear.
everything.
Thank
So I'll give you some feedback there. And then on the force multiplier question, because this came up during the budget hearings as well, where we're hiring more police officers, but we're not seeing our overtime come down. What is a good way for us as a council to measure the effectiveness of both the technology implementation, understanding that as we grow in population, there's a higher demand, and as we as council members and the mayor's staff have calls for speeding and so forth in our neighborhood. But I'm just curious, what are you going to be looking at to measure that force multiplier?
Well, there are a lot of different, when you talk about overtime, a lot of different factors involved. Do we have people off of work injured? Those spots still have to be filled, so we have to hire overtime for that. There are a lot more activities that we're asking our officers to be involved in, a lot more special events and different things like that. A lot of those things are outside their working hours, so there's a lot of different variables. We assume that as we continue to get more people, that number will eventually go down, but the more activities we have, the more people that we need. If those bodies aren't there, we have to try to fill those spots somehow. So that's why the overtime is what it is.
We've also, just so you know, we asked for a staff survey, or staff study, to kind of get a little bit more data, so we can kind of drill down into all the different areas in the police department and see if there's any inefficiencies, or see where we could, reallocate resources. So if that gets approved, that'll help us kind of guide us down and give us a roadmap for the future. So that should answer some of those questions.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions, Alderman Buck?
Thank you. I really appreciate the information and the technology and how it is helping our citizens in relation to the police department. One of the things you said about the technology and assessing situations, and then possibly you could deploy outside resources. You specifically said outside resources, because we know about deploying our own resources, but you specifically said outside resources. So a precursor to a discussion we're going to have later about our emergency situation on August 17th. The use of drones. Do you know if we used drones? You talked about drones. Sometimes we use them for traffic accidents. Do we know if we used drones on August 17th?
Well, if it was a major accident, it depends. A lot of times if there's an injury,
Serious
injury
or fatality.
Yeah, and I don't know what the injuries were on that particular day, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But
No, it's mainly to do with the traffic.
No, it's for traffic
traffic
reconstruction.
reconstruction.
That's what we use the drones for any type of reconstruction of an accident scene that involved a serious injury or fatality. That's what we'll use those for. We'll use them to assess traffic for large events. So, down at River's Edge Park, or if there's a large event, just to make sure there's no choke points on a traffic and help with traffic flow, so people aren't stuck at these large events. That's where we're authorized to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, okay. And thank you for the authorization, because I know
Yep.
we have to be authorized through
Absolutely.
the state to use them
Yep.
in different ways. So are we able to use the drones when we have an accident in front of our regional hospital and people cannot get to the regional hospital? Are we able to use drones to,
So I'm going to refer.
we'll ask our drone expert,
he's
the drone
Lieutenant
legislation
Walcott,
expert.
to answer that question.
So, do you want to just clarify the question? My name is Lieutenant Walcott.
yeah, so with the drones, and we're talking about using drones in accidents and different things, and traffic accidents, as it relates to traffic congestion. So we had the situation on that day where we had an accident right near the hospital. People cannot get to the hospital. Did we or can we use drones to assess the traffic in that area and then deploy additional resources and handle the situation?
As the chief and deputy chief had stated, we typically use them on crashes for actual reconstructionists because of all the pictures and the reference points they could use for fatal crashes. With the new legislation that was passed earlier this year, there is an exception in there that allows us to use them for police calls for service to assess the situation to determine public safety needs. So I would think that there is the potential for that. Just operationally, whether that would be a sound practice or not, I think that's something we'd have to evaluate.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Alderman Seville?
Yes, I'm glad you are utilizing and spoke about both the shot spotter and the drone technology. I think that's technologies that I think are very effective, not only in the present, but the future as well. So my couple questions I have, are you looking to expand either one of those areas of drone technology into other areas of calls for service? Like, for example, would you consider using them in terms of car chases? Because car chases, vehicle chases can be so unsafe for all concerned. Has that ever been utilized?
I think we would have to follow the legislation. I don't think we've ever utilized that in a car chase yet. I think,
Okay.
we would have to find out if that was the best thing for us to do.
Sure.
I know we use them in missing persons cases when we have endangered missing people. I do know that if it's a sort of a fresh pursuit sort of thing, we have the ability to do that as well. But a lot of our use of drones is new. We've only been using them for a very short time, so we're trying to do what we can right now, what we know we can do, and if we feel like the law allows us to utilize them in a different way that's positive for the department and the community, we'll use it in that way as well.
The deployment of the drones is tough it's a timely thing, right? So a pursuit could be over real quick. We may not even get the drone up and over there in time. So those would be some things that those are the variables we'd have to look at.
Sure,
So, yeah.
sure, yeah. Okay.
Another question? Alderman Bay?
Based on his Alderman Seville's question, I just wanted to know for the shot spotter, I think we had 2 square miles. Are we planning to expand that area?
Not at this time. We haven't seen the need to do that at this time. the technology. Again, we're trying to be responsible with taxpayers' money, and, we don't see the need to expand that at this particular time. Now, if we see the need, like I said, fortunately, shootings are down, crime is down. There's really no reason to spend more money on something that, we don't see the need to do. So, not at this particular time.
So just to give an idea of how effective shot detection technology is, how many guns were taken off the streets using this technology, given the fact that in most circumstances before this technology was implemented, only half the people called whenever a gunshot was fired up.
So our stats that we maintain, we've gone up with the recovered firearms. I know we're over 100 recovered firearms. I don't have an exact number for you today, but I know our firearm recoveries are up, as well as the number of leads that we've generated based off of the technology that we've located at scenes. A lot of times, that firearm evidence comes from the shot, the firearm, the projectiles from the firearm. So.
Yeah, obviously we recover more evidence as a whole, not just firearms, but I think the telling number was the 50% number that we used. 50% of the times we got alerted by ShotSpotter, no one ever called the police. So, I think that's a huge number that allowed us to get 50% more evidence than we would have had we have not had the technology. So I think that's important.
Any other questions? If none, thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate it. Great job. Keeping our city safe.